Fans, this is the Magic Beat with John Denton, brought to you by Sideline Sports and Entertainment Network. If you know me, that means you've been a Magic fan for a long time. I covered the Magic for 24 years for Florida Today, part of the USA Today network, and then I worked for the Magic, OrlandoMagic.com. Got to work with Dan Savage, Josh Cohen, Joel Glass, a lot of those guys on OrlandoMagic.com. So I've covered the Magic for 24 years. This is my first foray into podcasting. I'm looking forward to it. I got a lot to say. Anybody who knows me knows I'm passionate about basketball. Love the NBA. Love talking the Magic. The last 5 years I've covered baseball up in St. Louis, but I always had my eye on the Magic, and I'm interested. I'm back in Orlando. I'm interested in diving, headlong into podcasting and discussing the Magic with you guys. I'm passionate about basketball. Want to, discuss these games, and I want to give you a sports writer's perspective. I'm not coming on here as a fanboy. There's a dozen fan sites. I'm a sports writer at heart. This show's going to have a sports writer feel to it. I'm going to bring on other sports writers. Those are the guys who are around the team every day. Those are the guys in the clubhouse, in the locker room, talking to the players. We're going to try to bring on players, and we're going to try to get Jeff Weltman and Sean Sweeney and those guys on here eventually to give you a lot of different perspectives. But today I want to start with a history lesson. That shows how old I am. Starting with a history lesson, right? Uh, like I said, I covered the Magic for 24 years. I covered I got Penny's last 2 years in Orlando. Everybody always asked me, "Did you cover Shaq?" I missed Shaq. I would always ask Shaq about his time in Orlando, and he once called me Big Orlando. So I'm 6'5". I have a size 15 shoe. Shaquille, of course, is 7'1", probably 400 pounds, and has a 22 Triple E shoe. So my shoe would fit inside of his. But I got all 4 years of Tracy McGrady in Orlando. I got all 8 years of Dwight Howard. I got the Vooch first stint in Orlando. Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon, Victor Oladipo. I was around for the rebuild, so I know my Magic history. Been around for a long time. Let's start off with a history lesson here for the new fans who may not know this. The Magic drafted Shaquille O'Neal in 1992. Over the years after that, they got Penny Hardaway, they got Horace Grant, they got some help for Shaq. Formed a nice team, a great team, probably ahead of their time. Made the NBA Finals in 1995. Lost, of course, to the Houston Rockets. Made the Eastern Conference Finals in 1996. Shaquille left. We just hit the 30-year anniversary of the day Shaquille announced he was leaving Orlando. It was during the practice session for the Dream Team. The 96 Dream Team was practicing in Orlando. He left, and then the Magic go 12 years without winning a playoff series. Well, what does that have to do, you might wonder? Here's a little recap of how history sometimes can repeat itself. The Orlando Magic drafted Dwight Howard in 2004, number one overall pick. Then they have Hito Turkoglu, who they brought in, Rashard Lewis, Mikael Petras. Jameer Nelson came in the same draft as Dwight. That team is a little bit ahead of schedule. They make the NBA Finals in 2009. Lost 4-1 to the Lakers, but everybody who watches the Magic knows that was a much closer series. If the Magic foul Kobe Bryant in the backcourt in that game 4, that's probably a 2-2 series, going into those final 3 games. Anyway, Dwight Howard leaves in 2012, and now it's been 16 years since the Magic have won a playoff series. It's kind of crazy the way history has repeated itself. So the Magic are looking to break that drought. To me, this summer feels a lot like 2007. Think back to 2007. The Magic were 40-42. The fan base was upset. They knew that roster was loaded with talent, but they needed something to get over the hump. The franchise fired Brian Hill. They flirted with Billy Donovan. They brought Billy Donovan in. Somehow on the ride back to Gainesville, he changed his mind, and the Magic ended up hiring Stan Van Gundy. As it turns out, it was the best thing ever happened. The next year, Stan Van Gundy takes the franchise to the playoffs. They beat Toronto in the first round. In that playoff drought, that 12-year playoff drought, the post-Shaq drought, they ended that. They won a playoff series. 2009, they made the NBA Finals. This feels a lot like that now. I mean, think back to this past season. Magic fans were irate. That team underachieved this past season. Everybody in Orlando knows it. They were the ninth seed, I think it was, underachieved badly. 3-1 lead in the playoffs, clinching game up 27 points, blew that, lost the series to the Pistons. Now Jamal Mosley's gone. Again, the Magic flirted with Billy Donovan, but ended up picking Sean Sweeney. And Sean Sweeney reminds me a lot of Stan Van Gundy. And, that it could be the best thing ever happened that they didn't hire Billy Donovan in 2007, and they didn't hire Billy Donovan this year. They have a coach who has to cultivate that hunger, that defensive intensity, that desperation to win. He's got to get. I love what I've heard from him so far about on offense. You got to get all five guys playing together. Defense is something that travels. Defense is non-negotiable. It's a lot of the same things that Stan Van Gundy said back in '07. Stan changed the culture and turned the Magic into winners. Got them to the finals in '09. Can Sean Sweeney do that again? He's got a number one roster. Stan Van Gundy had Dwight Howard. Brian Hill had Shaquille O'Neal all those years ago. Number one pick in the draft. Number one pick in the draft for Dwight. Paolo Banchero, number one pick in the draft. That kind of talent is there. Can Sean Sweeney get this offense to playing together, playing as one? Can he get them busting their butt on defense every night? We all know if the Magic can be healthy. Like, it's time for the Magic to be healthy. It's time for the excuses to go away. Nobody wants to think about this franchise getting hurt, players getting hurt again, or being shorthanded, having to play shorthanded. They need Franz Wagner to be over the injury issues that he had last year. They need Jalen Suggs to stay on the floor. Yes, he plays hard, but he's got to stay on the floor. That starting five last year that they had of Suggs, Bain, Banchero, Wendell Carter, that starting five was one of the highest rated groups in the NBA last year when healthy, but they've got to stay healthy. They got to stay on the floor. I don't know if I mentioned Wagner in that five. When that five is healthy, they could be a dominant team. The East has gotten really, really good. Like, ever since the Knicks won this thing, I mean, look what's going on in the Eastern Conference. It's, Miami goes out and gets Giannis. LeBron goes to the Sixers. The Sixers get Jaylen Brown. I mean, the East is going to be loaded every night. The Magic, who's to know? Did they make enough moves? They did bring Vooch back, but they're counting on the 5 to 6, 7 players to put Anthony Black in there. Maybe Jace Richardson can join that core lineup. They're thinking that if that group can stay healthy, they're good enough to make a leap this year. And Sean Sweeney, it's on him to make sure this team can make a leap this year. Because the Magic are going to have to make some strides. The way they played last year is not going to be good enough in this Eastern Conference because the East is absolutely loaded. You could make a case that there are 10 teams in the Eastern Conference that deserve to make the playoffs, and somebody's going to get left out. Washington has Trae Young and Anthony Davis now to go with AJ DeBonsa. That's going to make them instantly better. Tyrese Halliburton is healthy now. He's going to make Indiana really good again. Cleveland made it to the Eastern Conference Finals this past year, got throttled by the Knicks. The Knicks are going to be better. Boston's kind of a wild card right now. Charlotte made some good moves. Charlotte gave up a lot of talent, but they also gave up a lot of headaches. I like Naz Reid a lot. I really think Naz Reid is the kind of professional they need. They're going to be battling the Magic every night. So like we talked about, the East is absolutely loaded. The Magic are going to have to be better than they were last year if they're going to make the playoffs. But now, here at Magic Beat with John Denton, presented by Sideline Sports and Entertainment. We're going to bring in our first guest. Uh, Dick Scanlon's going to be our guest tonight. Waiting to pull up Dick Scanlon here. There he is. Dick Scanlon has covered the Magic for 37 years. First with the Lakeland Ledger, the last few years with the Associated Press. Dick is also the president of the LeBron James fan club. He can't wait for that documentary on ESPN to come out any day now. Dick, how are you? Nice to have you.
Good, John. Good. Thanks for the lovely introduction.
Dick, first off, I want to know what you think of the Magic hiring Sean Sweeney. I mean, what kind of difference can he make? I don't know if you heard my intro there. I kind of compare it to 07 when the Magic were underachieving. They made a change at the top. They flirted with Billy Donovan. The best thing ever happened to him was getting a guy like Sean with Stan Van Gundy. Sean Sweeney kind of feels like that. He's a defensive first guy. He's all fire, intensity. What kind of difference can he make for the Magic this year?
Well, I think that's the key, John. I agree with what you said. It has the same kind of feel, and that's what defense was the great downfall of the Magic last year. That the big step they took down was on defense. They're going to be able to score, especially. They brought in Desmond Bain, and he played 82 games and had a great year. Scoring is not going to be a problem. But 2 years ago, they were one of the top 3 or 4 defensive teams in the league. Last year, they were no better than average. And Sean Sweeney has to be the remedy to that, or else, it's going to be a long year.
Yeah. Dick, is he going to bring that 7'4" alien with him from San Antonio, or was that not in the contract? Is it Wembanyama? He's not coming with him, right? So the Magic are going to have to play defense.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned it earlier, they were a good defensive team like 2 and 3 years ago, but last year
right.
The drop off was huge. Can this team? Do they have the pieces to turn it around defensively?
Well. Actually 3 things that were missing last year, personnel-wise, from the defense was, Mo Wagner, who was hurt most of the year. Suggs was hurt a lot, and even when he was right, he wasn't playing the 100% kind of defense he had played previously. And also Jonathan Isaac, who was always on the shelf, it seems like. And, they're going to have to get something out of those guys back. But personnel-wise, I mean, they had most of that for some. 2 years ago, they had all of that. Last year, those elements were missing. And how much of, now Mo Wagner is gone. And so how much of that they're going to get from those 3 guys remains to be seen, but if not, then everybody else is going to have to step up defensively.
Dick, that starting 5 of Suggs, Wagner, Banchero, Bain, Wendell Carter, when they played together last year, they were one of the best, most efficient 5, starting 5s in all the NBA. I know the $10 million question is, can they stay healthy? But how good can that group be if they get a good fortune and they stay healthy? How good can that group, that 5-some, be if they can play together for a long stretch?
Well, I think if they all played 75 games, I think the team would be very strong. It's just not very realistic to think that all 5 guys are going to do that. Now, a couple of guys are Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs are kind of looking like they might be injury prone, and they have to prove next season that they're not, because that's otherwise the Magic are going to have to go in a different direction, as they say. But next year will be a big test of that. They have to stay on the floor for the Magic to improve defensively. Yeah. Another wild card there might be Anthony Black, who has a chance to play multiple positions and be a plus defensive player in wherever he plays. But I don't know where it's going to come from. But Sean Sweeney is going to have to provide a big upgrade in the defense, and I think everybody understands that.
Yeah. Dick, this is something I've wondered for years, and I'm curious your perspective, having watched the Magic every night. Does this team need a true point guard? Do they can they get away with Jalen Suggs as point guard when he's not really a point guard? He's more of a two guard in a point guard's body. Do they need Anthony Black to take a step? Do they need Jace Richardson to take a step and be that traditional point guard who can distribute the ball and get it in the right spots? Because Sean Sweeney's talked about he wants to build an offense that involves all five players, not just drop the ball to Paulo and everybody clear out. Do they
Yeah.
need a traditional point guard to make their offense better?
Well, they do need somebody to handle the ball better. A lot of Banchero's turnovers last year were when he was just dribbling too much, and he had to
Mm-hmm.
he had to move the ball, and somebody else should probably have the ball more. I mean, in a way, it was similar to with Milwaukee had Giannis bring the ball up the court, and that just didn't work. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not sure turnovers was a big part of his problem, but the it makes it too easy for the defense when when your best player has the ball all the time. He's got to move around and then somebody get the ball to him. Uh, I guess a true point guard, whatever that means, would be nice. They're going to have to get, like you said, one of Black or Richardson is going to have to evolve into that role, or else they're going to, or else Suggs will have to, be at his best and become more of a point guard. But it doesn't seem to be in his nature to be a point guard. Yeah.
Yeah. Dick, you've covered the Magic for 37 years. I think I covered them for 24. I would say in 20 of those 24 years that I covered the team, they were a poor shooting team. Do they have enough three-point shooting? Like at a time when shooting has never been more valuable in this league, it seems like the Magic are still woefully short with three-point shooting. Do they have enough three-point shooting to cover the warts that are on this roster?
Well, I mean, they have. I don't know. They have signed so many
Huh.
guys and drafted so many guys to try to be that shooter. And then last year they signed Desmond Bain, who was supposed to be a 3-point specialist, and
Yeah.
he nobody could say he was a disappointment. At
No.
times he won games for him with his 3-point shooting after a kind of a mediocre start. I mean, everything was there that he could provide. He did provide, and he played in 82 games, but still,
Yeah.
it wasn't a good shooting team. So
Yeah.
again, that's going to have to be Anthony Black evolving, or Suggs continuing to improve from the perimeter. But so far, that has been the team's downfall. That's true.
Yeah. There were Bain. Bain was a much better all around player than I realized. I thought he was just more of a shooter. He had a really good all around season, but there were times in the playoffs where you would see videos of Bain running to the corner, never touching the ball. Like they've got to find a way to get even let him initiate a little more, keep him involved because he's too
Yeah.
good of a player not to have the ball in his hands more. Don't you think?
Yeah, what you're saying is they need a better offense, a better offensive scheme,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yes.
and I totally agree that he was. I was really very impressed with what an all-around player he was. I thought he was going to be a shooter. That's what they needed. That's what he got the big bucks to come here for, and
Uh-huh.
he was that. But he was also kind of a leader. He was decent on defense. And I mean, everything about that signing was positive, even going forward, and yet the team
Uh-huh.
as a
Yeah.
whole struggled.
Yeah.
So that was one of the great disappointments
Yeah.
of last
Nick,
year. The
Apollo.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, yeah, he played well, but it didn't translate in terms of the record. I was going to ask you, Paulo Banquero has posted several videos this offseason I think he spent a week or so working out with Kevin Durant, working on his one-on-one game. It looked really good. Looked to be in great shape. Looked to be shooting the ball well. How much can working with a guy like Durant? How much can that help him? What do you like most about Ben Carroll's game? Where do you want to see him get the most improvement?
I what impresses me is his maturity. I mean, he came into the league. What was he, 19 or something when he started? Number one overall pick. He's
Mm-hmm.
always been
Mm-hmm.
real smart. He's pretty articulate. He knows what to say and what not to say, and all the pieces are there. For being a good power forward. He gets blamed a lot when things break down, but and his only real fault, I think, is he has too many turnovers. But otherwise, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's certainly an all-star caliber player if he's healthy and a leader, I
Yeah.
think.
Dick, with his size, would you like to see him get in the post occasionally and maybe operate out of the post, take advantage of size mismatches? It seems like he would prefer to get the ball and face up or take somebody off the dribble. I just wonder at his size, could he be a better post player? Is that an option or is that just not today's basketball?
No, I don't know. I that's an option, but there I think one of the question marks about the makeup of the Magic is there might be a little bit too much overlap in Paulo and Franz Wagner. They might be a little
Yeah.
bit too similar at that spot. Although there are some big differences. Like Franz Wagner has probably the best footwork this side of Patrick Mahomes that I've ever seen. He's got that European fundamental kind of movement in his legs, and he's really good at that. And Paulo,
Yeah.
Paulo's probably has a better perimeter shot, and a better build, and uh, probably should work better without the ball, but I think you're going to see that. I think they're going to change that a lot. That they need a lot of work in the strategy of the offense,
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
pointed out. Yeah,
Wagner's footwork is a lot. Yeah, Wagner's footwork is a lot better when both ankles are healthy too, right? Like he couldn't
yeah,
get over that ankle injury.
right.
I know we've talked about it. Him playing in Germany. I know that game meant a lot to him. Boy, that
Yeah,
really hurt last season, didn't it? Him coming back maybe too early from that ankle injury, and it bothered him the rest of the way.
it really did. That was a shame. I guess you can't blame him for wanting to come back and play in Germany. I mean, that has to be a dream for a kid like that. But he, in retrospect, he obviously came back too soon, and he really wasn't the same player. He had flashes, he had bursts, but clearly he should have been another another couple of weeks before he came back. And the irony is that, as you know, being a student of Magic history, is they have a history of putting guys on the shelf too long. You know, guys
Yes, yes.
like I remember in the early days when Vucevic was a real good player. He'd have an ankle injury and they'd keep him out 15 or 20 games. It was kind of ridiculous,
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
uh, and then here you have Franz, emerging as an all-star caliber player, and they bring him back too soon because he wants to play in Germany, and it turned
yeah.
out to be a big mistake. That is an understated element of their dismal or disappointing second half, I think.
Yep, no doubt about it. This is the Magic Beat with John Denton, presented by Sideline Sports and Entertainment. Please hit the like button, subscribe button. We're going to be with you weekly throughout the season. When the season starts, we'll probably go to twice a week with this podcast. We have Dick Scanlon here now, long time with the Lakeland Ledger, worked for the Associated Press the last few years. Dick is one of the old school guys. He's covered all 37 years of the Magic, so he has a perspective that few do. And I always leaned on Dick when I was covering because he's been with them since day one when Pat Williams was around and Brian Hill and Matty Gukas and all those guys. Dick, what do you make of the Eastern Conference? I mean, the Knicks win the Knicks win the title and everybody in the East goes crazy. Is it going to be
Wow.
must see TV every night in the Eastern Conference this season with Giannis going to Miami and Jalen Brown going to Philly and the way the East is just upgraded. Now you're going to have LeBron in Philly. It every night's going to be must see TV in the East, right?
LeBron goes to Philly, so that puts them on TV, what, 80 times on national TV next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting to see the way everything changes and like uh, analyzing where the Magic are. A year ago at this
Yeah.
time, if you looked at the Eastern Conference, I think the Magic were like no worse than fifth. They were behind the Knicks, I guess, and Cleveland and Boston. Oh, well,
Hmm.
maybe not even Boston because remember Tatum was out,
Tatum. Hmm.
and people assumed that that the Celtics were going to have a down year. There was another team. Oh, Cleveland, yeah, Cleveland and the Knicks were ahead of the Magic, and then now this year with Philly now possibly the NBA favorite.
Hmm.
Boston is back, even though they don't have Jalen Brown, but Atlanta, Toronto, and Philly and Detroit have all zoomed ahead of the Magic, at least in terms of their preseason expectations. So it's going to be a challenge for the Magic to get into the top eight, it looks like.
Yep. Yep. We're down
And
to
that's
Dick. We're down to our final 3 minutes of the podcast. So let's do
okay.
some rapid fire now. Short
Okay.
answers only.
Yeah.
Blank is the team to beat in the Eastern Conference.
Well, I guess probably Philly now.
Yeah.
I mean,
LeBron gives them a pretty good starting five.
yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
You go Edgecombe, Maxi, LeBron, um, and then Embiid. I mean, that's and then Jalen Brown. That's a really good starting five.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Uh,
anybody has a five to match that if they get a full season out of those guys.
that this is true. This is true.
Yeah,
Dick, LeBron James wins another NBA title before he turns 50. Yes or no?
I say no because
You say no?
I still think San Antonio and Oklahoma City are the best teams in the league. But
I
we'll
agree with
see.
you. I agree with you. Magic make the playoffs in 2027. Magic win a playoff series in 2027. Yes or no on those two?
I'll say they make the playoffs, and I'll say they don't win a playoff series. How's that
Okay. Okay. That's straddling the
for,
fence. I hope that fence
for
is
a
not
short
uncomfortable
answer?
for you.
Yeah. No, I don't
Jet
mind.
Howard Jet Howard recently signed with the Dallas
Uh,
Mavericks. Worst Jeff Weltman draft pick. Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba, or Jet Howard?
ooh, wow. Um, I probably Mo Bamba. I don't, which as
Yeah.
we've talked about that, I never understood why he didn't. I mean, he just looks like and seems like he would be a decent player. He just never came around.
Yeah.
I never really understood
Yeah.
why. He seems to have all the tools.
I
He
I,
certainly has the
I
name.
raised my hand. Yes, I took the bait on Mo Bamba. I thought he was going to be really good. He's
Yeah,
very smart, has all the tools, had a nice shooting touch. He just
yeah,
never played with the energy or the fire that he needed. I took it hook, line, and sinker, and could not have been more wrong.
yeah.
Dick, should the Magic bring back Mario Hazonia? How about that one? A guy who's looking to get back in the NBA.
No. Short answer.
All right. Who wins an MVP first? Giannis Antetokounmpo or Victor Wembanyama?
Oh, Wembanyama, easy. Wow. Yeah, yeah. Hasn't
Yeah,
Giannis already won one?
I know, but it was. Will he get
Oh,
another one in
oh,
Miami?
oh, no,
I'm
no, no,
guessing he's
no,
going to
no.
try to make a push.
I have
Final
some misgivings
question.
about whether. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Final question. Does Pablo Banquero make an all NBA team this year?
I'm going to say yes. I think Sean
Okay.
Sweeney might bring out the best in him. He seems about ready to go into his peak years, and I think he's got a good all around game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dick, thanks for joining us. Great to have Dick Scanlon with us. This is the Magic Beat with John Denton, brought to you by Sideline Sports and Entertainment Network. Like I said, please smash that like button, subscribe button. Come back next week, and we'll do it again. Thanks, Magic fans.